So Barack Obama today is talking about the new jobs and the stimulus plan, Main Street bailout. Republican House Minority Leader said Obama's plan to pay for jobs bill is, well, repulsive.
This makes me so angry. I was there, all right? I know all about TARP. First, it was never intended that all this money would ever have to be spent. But any money that wasn't spent was to go to the deficit. And the idea of taking this money and spending it is repulsive.
Taking the TARP money, which was in the bill by law going to deficit reduction if the money was allocated and recouped or not used. Now they want to take $200 billion and use it for job creation. Sounds good? Listen to clip 9. This is the kind of jobs they want to create.
Third, I'm calling on Congress to consider a new program to provide incentives for consumers who retrofit their homes to become more energy efficient, which we know creates jobs, saves money for families, and reduces the pollution that threatens our environment.
It's all about the environment, folks. It's all about the environment. It's all about control. Now, in the next clip, he talks about TARP, about winding down TARP. But you have to understand there's an agenda here, too.
So to help support these efforts, we are going to wind down the Troubled Asset Relief Program, or TARP, the fund created to stabilize the financial system so banks would lend again. I don't think I have to tell you there's rarely been a less loved or more necessary emergency program than TARP, which, as galling as the assistance to banks may have been, indisputably helped prevent a collapse of the entire financial system.
You know, the one that was caused by somebody who bought a home that they couldn't afford. But the TARP program, you see, if the Obama administration had been in control of it, it wouldn't have been the kind of fiasco that it was under the Bush administration, or so says Obama in the next clip.
Launched hastily, understandably, but hastily, under the last administration, the TARP program was flawed, and we have worked hard to correct those flaws and manage it properly.
So see, once again, that's the third time Obama's thrown the Bush administration under the bus, which is why I asked the question at the website jerrydoyle.com. At what point does Obama own this? But everything that's gone wrong, everything that's not fixed is not his fault, and everything that seems to be working or working out seems to be at his behest and the doings of this administration. When you take a look at clip 13 here, so now what we see is that we got rid of the problem, the Bush administration. Now, we've solved the problem with job creation, and that we're going to then have people retrofit their homes, and there's only one more piece of the puzzle that we need to put in place, because once we get control of this, then the economy will turn, businesses will grow, jobs will be created.
We are fighting to do what we have discussed in this country for generations, finally reforming our nation's broken health insurance system and relieving this unsustainable burden. Because our economic future depends on a financial system that encourages sound investments, honest dealings, and long-term growth, we've proposed the most ambitious financial reforms since the Great Depression.
So now, if we can save the planet, if we can get involved in the global warming scam, if we can convince cap and trade, if we can't convince, we'll give the EPA the authority to regulate. We will then create jobs that are supposedly going to retrofit homes that are going to save us money but save the environment more importantly. And the health care proposals, the health insurance overhaul, or the takeover by the federal government will be the key to our lasting financial future and the success of business and job creation in America. It has nothing to do with lending. It has nothing to do with small business. It has nothing to do with jobs. It has to do with the ideology of this administration. They want to dismantle capitalism. They want to undermine the free market system. They want to eviscerate the banking rules, the laws of the land, the Constitution, and put in place their own vision for the future. When we saw the meltdown in Dubai over their debt structure, when we saw the Greek debt structure come under pressure, we saw their market sell off. Now our economy under pressure, AAA rating in question. The question is, do we let this administration take the TARP money to have green jobs save the economy? We're going to talk with Dr. Petra Beck when we get back, and you at 800-876-4123.
economists across the political spectrum that we were rapidly plummeting towards a second Great Depression. So in the weeks and months that followed, we undertook a series of difficult steps to prevent that outcome. And we were forced to take those steps largely without the help of an opposition party, which, unfortunately, after having presided over the decision-making that had led to the crisis, decided to hand it over to others to solve.
It's very nice to watch the Obama administration wash their hands of any Democrat involvement in the financial meltdown that we saw here and the ripples that we saw internationally. But today, Barack Obama at the Brookings Institution throwing the Bush administration continually under the bus and talking about how it's time we get around to talking about Main Street. It's time we get around to talking about new jobs and a new stimulus plan that's actually going to be felt by people like you and I guess when he was talking back on March 15th with Treasury Secretary Geithner about the importance of small business, the importance of lending to business, and the importance of job creation for those of us who sit around the kitchen table wondering about what our future holds. I guess maybe now we might hold out some hope that this administration is actually serious about doing something about small business and job creation. Joining us on the program, Dr. Petra Beck, author of the book A Rescue Plan for President Obama, 7 Steps to a Win-Win Economy, and her new piece, The Action Plan for Communities to Gain Financial Freedom. Dr. Beck, welcome back.
Thank you very much for having me today, Jerry.
I look at all of the monies that have been thrown around. I look at the lack of lending that's taking place, and people are, really, Dr. Beck, starting to just say, "What about me?" It's that Toby Keith song. I want to talk about me.
Absolutely. That's why I've written this book, The Action Plan for Communities, because we have to get going and we have to do it bottom up. 1 year ago, I wrote the Rescue Plan for President Obama, which is a top-down plan to save the economy, and nothing has been done. So now we have to get on it. We have to do it.
Well, bottom up has always been the fix, whether it's been an economy or whether it's been a political movement, that, you can't wait for some political messiah to come along, which is what a lot of people, I think, thought they saw in Barack Obama. But whether it was capitalism under Bush or socialism under Obama, the political messiah out there doesn't exist. The economic messiah doesn't exist. And we have to figure out what we have to do so that we force change on Washington, D.C., not wait for loose change to come from Washington, D.C.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have to take the power back. And it's very easy to do. We have to start with the land. The use of land. The land has to go back to the people, and the people have to go back to the land. That is very important. Land and its value have been depleted for centuries now, and now we are facing the worst crisis in 1 century, meaning that people even lose their homes, lose everything. All the value that they have created for, say, retirement stock markets will completely crumble when the commercial crisis hits. That's only the beginning, what we've seen today.
When you started in your career, monetary and statistical reforms during the reunification of East and West Germany, where you were at the central bank,